we're just going to go ahead and get started on the ground. All fours position, we're going to do a cat-cow. So take a second here, get comfy, hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. Go ahead and start arching and rounding your back, really thinking more about what your hips are doing than your shoulders. Trying to get into your low back. Exhale as you round. Inhale as you arch. Good, few more. Good, go ahead and come back to center. Now take your shoulder closer to your hip and your hip up toward your shoulder, like we're doing a weird little side crunch. Let's do one more each side. And then come back to center. Next, go ahead and open your hand up to the ceiling, spreading across your chest. You're going to take your hand to your shoulder, square off your shoulders, elbow's going to come down toward the ground. Sit your hips back a little bit. Big breath in, big breath out. On your next inhale, go ahead and spin everything back up toward the ceiling. It might feel a little easier this time. Then put your hand on the ground. And then open your other hand up toward the ceiling. Get a long across your chest, long through your collarbones. Hand to your shoulder, square your shoulders to the ground. Elbow comes down to the ground, sit your hips back. Find a stretch. I mean, you might be stretching everywhere, but stretch in your lats, your armpit, the back of your shoulder. Next inhale, spin yourself back up. And then come back down to all fours. Next, we're going to do a hip stretch here. So go ahead and extend your left leg back behind you. You're going to lift it up slightly and then cross it over. So you're over like this. We're going to try and get into the front of our hip here. So you can keep your foot up or down, up to you. And then you're thinking back to that side to side kind of accordion idea of before. You're going to push your hip to the side until you get a stretch kind of in the front of your leg here. You might also think dropping your hip down toward the ground. I don't know, just see what you can do to find a stretch here. You're welcome to stay here and breathe in it, or you can kind of come out and go back in. It's up to you. Just kind of see what feels good and put yourself there. Go ahead and switch on over to the other side. So coming back to center, extend your right foot back behind you this time. Cross your foot over the back of your midline, so it's on the other side of you. Then you're going to push your hip to the side and kind of forward and down until you find a stretch. You might notice that one side is more dramatic than the other. That's super normal. If there's a little bit more, a little bit less on this side, just notice it. Be curious about it. Go ahead and just give a little bit of movement if you want to kind of rub up against it, or you can hold. Up to you. On your next inhale, go ahead and bring yourself back to center. Take a second to recombobulate. And then we're going to go ahead and set our hips back down to our heels into a child's pose. You can let your head go, rest your forehead on the ground, maybe shift from side to side. You can keep your knees out wide or together, up to you. On your next inhale, go ahead and walk your hands over to one side and exhale, soften into the ground. Another inhale brings you back to center, soften. And then over to the other side. Taking a big deep breath in and out. Go ahead and come back to center. Hang out here for a second. And then go ahead and come back up to all fours. Next, you're going to go ahead and tuck your toes. We're going to come down into a downward facing dog. So tuck your toes, press into your hands, press into your feet. Maybe your legs are straight, maybe they're not. I don't know. Just meet yourself wherever you are here. Maybe pedal your legs out, even if they're not straightening all the way. Or you can just keep them super bent, maybe a little wider, maybe a little closer together. I don't know. Just see what there is to see. From here, you're going to come up onto your toes. Think back to that cat-cow. We're going to roll it forward until we're in a plank. So we're not going to drop down. We're just going to hold here in this plank. And then you're going to bend your knees, push your hips back up, coming back to down dog. Let's roll it out again, up onto your toes, rolling forward until your shoulders are over your hands. And then bend in your knees. Tailbone reaches toward the sky, push up back behind you. Let's do 3 more here. Up onto your toes, roll it forward, and scoot it back. Up on your toes, roll it forward, and roll it back. And last time, roll it forward, and roll it back. Very nice. From here, go ahead and come back into all fours. Sit back on your heels. Give your hands a break if you need it. And then you can come back to all fours. Hips are going to go up. Then you're going to pick up your right foot. Bring it close to your to the outside of your right foot. So here, you can be a little bit more open if you want to give that knee some space. You can feel free. If you want to be a little bit more upright and on top of yourself, feel free. Just go ahead and take some wiggles here. Just see where you want to be today and put yourself there. From here, you're going to take your right hand, spin it up toward the ceiling, and then bring it on back. And inhale up toward the ceiling, and bring it on back. Very nice. This time, instead of coming back to down dog, we'll just come back to all fours. So bring your knee back, other knee comes up, foot, left foot this time, on the outside of your left hand. Same thing, just shift around, maybe forward and back, maybe side to side, maybe push your knee open. Get comfy here first. If you want to come up, you can feel free to as well. And on your next exhale, go ahead and spin your hand open. And bring it back. And inhale, open, or exhale, doesn't matter. And let it go. Last time, open up. And let it go. Go ahead and come on back to all fours. Tuck your toes, come back up to a down dog. Now we're going to take a walk up to our hands. You can bend your knees as much as you want. Get light in your fingers if you need to. Once you get there, we're just going to fold. Head is heavy. You can grab your elbows. Rock from side to side. Take a big breath in. And a big breath out. Let it go. Bend your knees. Roll super, super slowly up to standing. Once you get there, float your arms up and overhead. Reaching up. Grab one wrist. Lift up and over. Come on back to center. Other side. Up and over. Coming on back to center. And dive it on down to the ground. And this time, instead of hanging out in this fold, you're going to bend your knees, making your way down to sit on your butt. And we're going to do some 90-90 stretches here. So the first variation of this, you're going to take your hands out behind you. Feet are going to plant like so. You're going to let your knees fall from side to side. If you're already pretty comfortable with this and it feels pretty good, we're going to work on getting into this 90-degree position here with one leg at 90 degrees, other leg at 90 degrees, kind of wide like this. Generally, the wider things are, the harder it will be, more challenging, shall we say. So if you're feeling a little bit tighter, you can bring your heels closer to your hips, and that should help. Go ahead and just find a position here that feels comfortable. And then once you get there, just kind of start to move around. Maybe you're going to lean forward, maybe lean back, maybe little twists. I don't know. Just see what there is to see. And once you've had enough of that, we're going to come into kind of a neutral-ish position here. It's going to, if you're feeling very, very tight, you might want to come forward over your forward knee a little bit, because we're going to focus in on this back leg. You're just going to rock your toes and your heels away from the ground. Kind of thinking about this motion, instead of coming from the knee, really coming from the hip. We're trying to get a little bit more motion in there than we normally might. And if that feels good, you're going to try and pick your knee up off the ground and then put it back. Pick your knee up and put it back. If you're having a lot of trouble, come down here. If you want it to be harder, you're going to come more upright. This sucks a lot. So if you can't get it, or if you're struggling with it, join the club, because it sucks eminently. Last one, lifting, or you can always just stay with that rocking the foot. Now we're going to roll on over to the other side. So trying not to do the thing where you make it easy and do a lot of weird shit. Nice and slow, rolling on over to the other side. Trying to move from where your legs meet your hips instead of trying to compensate somewhere else. All right, so now that we're here, we're just going to move around, see what there is to see. But first, we walk. And once you feel good, let's go ahead and come back to that whatever position you're going to do our rotations from. And you're just going to rock your heel and your toes away from the ground, thinking about that coming from the hip. And if you feel good, you can try lifting up. You might need to change the position of your body so that it's accessible to you. Let's do 3 more. And then go ahead and release out of that. Let's roll on over nice and slow to the other side. And because we just did a lot of stuff, we're just going to go ahead and roll from one side to the other nice and slow, just a few times. Nice, and now once you meet back at the original side, we're going to try the same thing, rock and roll on the foot, or maybe this time you can pick your foot up off the ground but leave the knee. This is either usually a little bit harder, or a lot harder, or easier than the other one. And let's go ahead and pick the knee up. Let's just do this around 3 times, nothing too crazy. And then we'll roll on over to the other side. Do the same thing. Heel, toe, or pick up the foot. And then pick up the knee when you're ready. Last one. And then release over to the other side. Let's rock and roll it out a couple of times. And then come back to center and roll down nice and slow to lay on your back. Bring your knees up toward your chest, rock back and forth. And then go ahead and pause here, catch one knee, and then circle your knee in one direction. then in the other. Last circle on this side, and then let's go to the other side. Change direction. And last circle. Give your knees one last hug. And go ahead and extend your legs out. Flop your hands wherever feels good. Close your eyes. Take 5 deep breaths. Whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and do the rest of your day. And I hope you have a nice one. I'll see you soon.